So I had a message on Facebook asking me a question about my louvered windows. Basically, the guy was saying, he said, I think he was, I don't know whether he said that he had them on his van or whether he wanted them on his van, I'm not quite sure. I apologise for not understanding. But he was saying, like, do they leak? Basically, like he wondered whether they were waterproof or not. I don't know whether he meant when they were shut or whether he meant when they were open, but either way, as long as you've got a good rubber around the top here, it fits like any normal window. And if that flashing there, this piece of flashing is flush, you've got these little foam seals just inside. Oh yeah, there you go, these little foam seals. But because they're like probably half an inch overlapping each other anyway, if the water hits this, it runs past where the inside gap is, so there's no way that the water can actually get inside the glass. Even with the windows open, you can see that one, they're staggered, so the water will hit this one and then it will hit this one and then hit this one and then off the van. So even when it was throwing it down, the water wasn't going in because it would have to physically travel up to get into there. Well, I had both of these windows completely open like this. It was absolutely hammering it down with rain, and no water came into the cab, into the actual inside at all, because like I said, it bounced off and was directed away from the van. Like I said, if any of you guys have got any comments or messages or questions about the van or questions about your own or whatever, let me know and I'll see if I can help. I'm no expert, but I know cars quite well, so I might be able to help you out with a few things, and you likewise hopefully will be able to help me. We are stuck in the van. It started raining. Pretty much thought I'd show you what I've done so far inside. It's not the neatest job, but I've put some of this layered sort of foam. I've got some here I think I cut off. It's like a foil on one side and a sort of polystyrene on the other. I've put that on the insides of the panels, all the way around here, all the way along the door, and the roof is covered. And already there's a noticeable difference in the amount of heat that stays inside the van. But hopefully it'll work the same way of keeping heat out in the summer as well. But this isn't the only insulation that's going to go in the van, it will eventually go in a bit more. But yeah, got to kind of wait until the weather stops until I can carry on. While it's raining, I thought I'd take the time to explain to you a little irritating thing about the T25's design. It'd irritate me anyway, but yeah, basically, I don't know if you'll hear this, but if you're listening carefully, can you hear like a ticking noise? That is caused by water running off the roof and running down the vents, and it gets to the bottom slat on the vent and drips down into the bodywork where the engine is, like into the air, because it's an air intake. That apparently can be remedied by putting a cable tie around the very last vent, very last sort of slat, and then leaving a bit of the cable tie hanging out and just trim it off, because then the water follows the cable tie out, so then you get no more drips. So eventually I'm going to try that out and see if it does work. If it does, then it might be a thing to do. If you get a black cable tie, it will just stop that dripping noise at night in the rain. So that dripping noise is caused by water running down the vents and dripping just off there. You can just about see it, I think. Yeah, there it is. Just dripping down there. And it's the same on both sides. You get that one little drip just down there. I've addressed the leaky tappy noise that many T25 owners will relate to with this little cable tie trick that I saw. I don't know whether it's on Facebook or a video, but I can't find it anymore, and I couldn't actually find the correct placement for the things. Excuse the taped up window. It's a big hole there, as you know, and I didn't want the weather to make it any worse. So if you haven't heard of this trick, what you do, you might not be able to see it, you put a cable tie in so that the bottom of the cable tie sits right down there, and then the water collects on the cable tie, comes down the cable tie and drips off the edge. Now you can trim that down, I just haven't had time because it was tipping down the rain, but it stops the water dripping inside and it comes off the edge, which stops that horrible, well, it's not, some people might say it lulls you to sleep, but I find ticking noises very irritating. Last thing I wanted to mention what I've done today, I used to watch a guy called, his channel's called Self-Made Van, and he's made is it a Ford Transit, and he's turned that into sort of like a day camper or like a weekend camper, and he's done a really good job of how he's done. If you like sort of how-to videos and tutorials and people building their vans, go check out Self-Made Van, because that's actually quite a good channel to watch. He hasn't posted for a while, but he does tend to keep the channel updated. But in one of his videos he had these little sort of ambient lights which go underneath either the bed or your work surfaces or whatever, and they're only these little sort of tiny spotlights, but they look really nice because they scatter puddles on the floor. After watching his video I decided straight away that I wanted them, and he left a link to the eBay item and it was still there, so straight away I ordered them. They came in 2 days and I absolutely love the way they look, and at night they look brilliant, so when it gets a bit darker I'll probably put a clip on so you can see what it looks like. So yeah, all in all, that's about it for this one. Hopefully we'll see you again. Bye bye.